nobody's willing to do what we're willing to do.
Right.
And because of that, that's why we're going to be successful. So I felt like if I could do more, like even the long hours, working early in the morning, late at night, weekends, holidays, I knew most people weren't willing to do that.
And not just doing it, but doing it with this like great attitude, like a want to attitude, not a have to attitude.
Right.
It's like you never looked at it like, oh, I have to be at the office. It was like, I'm going to the office. I'm going there early. I'm going to work hard.
I loved it. I was excited. I was excited where we were going, what we were building, and I was excited to be a part of it. Yeah. So the thought of... And I just felt like we had to do this together and we had to just put our heads down. And I never looked at it as work. Right. I never looked at it like, I have to do this. I was like, I'm excited to. I really was. It was my passion. It became an obsession.
Yeah. It's not a have to. It was a get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I craved it. It was just like what I wanted to do. And the great thing about the company we were in is that they measure your success and there's always somebody beating you and there's always another level. And because of that, we're both very competitive and we always had that next goal. There was never like, oh, we did it, we're done. It was like, okay, next, like now we get to go to this level. Now we get it. Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing on goal setting. Like when you're setting goals, you want to always make sure that before you hit a goal, you have another goal that you're chasing that keeps you going towards something else, right? And if you do that, then you're always going to have another level to go to and you're never going to feel like you actually arrived, which is a positive thing. Like a lot of times people want to get to the place. I know at one point in my career, I felt like, we became millionaires at a young age. I remember I was 25 and you were what, 22?
Maybe.
We became cash millionaires.
Was it 20? I thought it was 26 and 23.
Yeah, I turned 26 2 months later.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so here we were, cash millionaires at a young age. And I always thought that like, if I had $1 million, I would feel comfortable and like that feeling in my gut would go away. Right. And then I'll never forget, once we had that, it was like I felt the exact same thing. And I realized that that feeling that I felt I was looking to get rid of was really my ambition. Yeah. It wasn't something I wanted to go away. It was something that I wanted to keep fueling that fire, but it didn't feel good. But it was just, I think you hear that term all the time, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. And ambition is uncomfortable. It's your desire to progress. It's your desire to get better. It's your desire to work harder, your desire to achieve another goal, right?
Yeah. And that's something we're constantly trying to teach our children too. I mean, it goes with it. It's not just business. It's anything in life. Uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. Right. If you're just stagnant, you have a cush life, you're not doing anything to progress. Working out. Yeah. You always are telling me, add more weight. I'm like, but it hurts. Like it hurts so bad. But I know that if I don't feel really uncomfortable, I'm not growing. Yeah. We're learning Spanish right now. Yeah. And what's the app called?
Duolingo.
Yeah. And some days I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this. But I just know that I've got to stick to it. Discipline. Yeah. We're on day 48 or something like that.
Today's 49.
49? Yeah. You've already completed yours today. I haven't. But I just know it's uncomfortable to change and to learn and to grow. And that's for a reason most people aren't willing to do that. When it starts getting uncomfortable, they want to retreat.
Yeah. I also think that uncomfortable feeling is where all the excitement of life comes from. Oh, yeah. I think about, I used to give this talk when we were young kids, we wanted to be like an astronaut or the president or a veterinarian or whatever. And none of it ever revolved around how much money we were going to make. It was just this thing that we could do. And then what happens is we go to high school and we get done with high school and, we go to college and, or not, or you get a job and you start having to buy shampoo and toilet paper and you start realizing like, dang, I got to work hard to provide this life. And then, maybe you have a child and then all of a sudden you're working all these hours and maybe you were working full time and going to college part time. And then you find out you're going to have a baby. And so then you go work full time. I used to give this talk and then eventually one day you wake up and you're 40 years old and You're just average. But if you think back to that time when you were young and someone said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you say, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be the president, or I want to, whatever it was like this excitement filled with possibilities, where if we can keep ourselves in that place of growth and possibilities, that's where all the excitement of life comes from. And a lot of people get caught up in the monotonous day-to-day activities, which are required for discipline, but then they're seeking comfort. And so the monotonous day-to-day activities become comfortable, and they never add on what they need to add on to keep it uncomfortable for growth, to keep themselves in that possibility-driven life. Yeah. Right?
That childlike almost enthusiasm. Yeah. And I always, I try to just listen to our children, because obviously, and they have these goals and dreams and ambitions and what they want to do. And like our daughter, I want to do this in gymnastics, and I'm going to, and there's no doubt, and she's excited about it. And it's just really cool to, like at what point in our lives do we start losing that? Yeah. Just getting caught up in the rat race, and people just give up.
I also think, and a lot of people lose it when they start reducing expectations, or they start letting expectations go, where like us as parents, we're constantly raising expectations and constantly, hey, if that's what you want to do, here's what it's going to take. We expect that you're going to pay the price. If that's what you want, then here's the price you got to pay, and we expect them to do it. Or a lot of times people that don't succeed in life, they have these desires, but they don't have these high expectations to meet it. And so, we say a lot of times people would come into our business, and before they would get there, that we would ask them like, hey, if you won the lottery, what would you do with the money? What kind of house would you live in? And you just get people dreaming about their actual dream life. What kind of house, what kind of vehicles would you drive? What kind of schools would you send your kids to? Would you retire your parents? Like, what are your actual dreams? Like, what are your desires out of life? And then we would recruit people to help them achieve those dreams. And we knew it was possible because we did it, right? Right. But then what happens, people would come in, and as soon as there was these uncomfortable situations that they had to accomplish, right? Whether it was prospecting or doing appointments or late nights or all the stuff that we had been doing for years, we watched them do. And then all of a sudden they would shrink their goals and dreams to fit their current reality, to get rid of the uncomfort or discomfort, right? Yeah. So
they start justifying why they don't need those things that they originally told us they wanted, or big things they wanted to do, because they realize, oh, dang, like I'm going to have to do some things that I don't want to do. I'm going to have to give up some nights with my families. I'm going to have to give up, family reunions. I mean, we didn't do any of that stuff. And it was 3 years? We didn't go to anything. I mean, maybe it was longer than that, but 3 years, we seriously did not even see any of our family. Yeah. If they came and saw us, but we weren't going to travel to go to Christmas parties, and because we just looked at that as a distraction. But most people would never give that up. But now we get to go to every single thing every day.
Yeah, forever. No matter what it is, yeah. We get it. Yeah, it's a small price to pay for an unlimited amount of freedom. It was like we used to always say, if you're willing to, it's not like it's less work. If you're going to build a business, you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be successful. It's not like you're going to work less. You see all these people successful. It's you're taking 40 years of work and condensing the time, right? You're condensing the time frame. So you're taking 40 years of work and putting it into 5 years, where you've got to expect that there's going to be longer days and nights and weekends and holidays, and that you go away for 5 years or whatever. And then if you're actually willing to do those uncomfortable things, you're actually willing to add more weight. You're actually willing to get into those uncomfortable situations, and stay uncomfortable means you're getting better and better and better. It's like if you go to the gym and you want to get stronger means you have to continuously lift heavier. You don't get stronger if it doesn't get heavier.
I think I just learned this over the past couple of months.
Right?
I'm getting stronger, but I'm using the same way I've always done.
Yeah, sometimes people don't realize you might look good, you might look better, but it doesn't mean you got stronger. Yeah. Right? And so if you want to actually get stronger, you have to put more weight on. Well, it's the same thing with business. If you want to get better, if you want to get more results, you actually have to do more sales calls. You have to do more presentations. You have to close more sales. You have to train more people. You have to develop more leaders. You actually have to be willing to make uncomfortable decisions and keep yourself uncomfortable so that you can progress and grow.
Yeah.
And then that's what also gives room for the leadership that you're developing, room to grow. And sometimes that's uncomfortable too, is like letting people go out and do a presentation when they're not really ready.
Yeah.
And you're watching somebody who sucks and you're like, oh my gosh, if I could just do this for them.
Yeah.
But then they never have the room to grow. And so it's not only uncomfortable for you as a leader, but it's also uncomfortable for them. But that's the only way that growth can ever happen, right? Yeah. And I think for kids, we're watching our kids. I was telling you yesterday, I got Aspen from gymnastics, and I was watching her do these lunges.
Yeah.
And they had her do walking lunges, like hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And I could just tell she was like so uncomfortable. But the thing I was so impressed with her is she didn't complain. Mm-hmm. She didn't grimace in her face. She was tired. She never complained about it.
Yeah.
She just did it. And I think a lot of times that has to do with us just telling her like, hey, winning's uncomfortable. It just hurts, right? If you're not uncomfortable, if you're not pushing yourself to that limit, you're not going to grow.